Let's get ready to rumble!
Hey YouTube, Tim Cooper, owner of Cooper's Automotive Repair, not just a mechanic. I don't know why I said that, but it's just it's funny like that. Anyway, 2004 a Nissan Pathfinder 3.5 liter, and it's automatic. It's the LE model. I got to pull the transmission out and got to send it out. Got a little leak. Actually, not going to send it out. There's a sensor on the top that leaks, and I'll show you where it's at. But to get to it, you have to pull the transmission out. So pause the video. We'll be right back. Okay, we've got the dipstick here. Obviously, you're going to pull the stick out. All right, get that out of your way. And there's a 10 millimeter bolt I've already taken out. See the little hole down there to your left of the video. Take that out. And after you do that, we'll set the vehicle up and take it up. Okay, here we are underneath the Nissan Pathfinder, and I've already taken some of this stuff apart. You're going to have some 17 millimeter bolts and nuts going to the drive shafts right here. Let me get my light. 4 of them to take out right there and drop your drive shaft. Right after you do that, you're going to go to the back, and you're going to have 14 millimeters, probably about 6 of these, it looks like, in the back. Nuts and bolts to take out of that. And then right here is your carrier bearing and shaft, 17 mils. Let's go ahead and pull them out. Let's see here. There we are. Probably drop it on my head, but that's all right. All right, so just get that out of there. Move it out of your way. I'll show you a little, check all your joints on it. That one's actually got play in it right there. Right there. Not supposed to be there. So we'll be replacing this drive shaft. Okay. Okay, must be my favorite word. Anyway, drive shaft's out. Next, we got to come up here. We got some 12 millimeters to take out right there. And until you keep track of stuff, just start them back in there. Some of the stuff, not obviously not everything, you wouldn't do that with. Other side. And I'll go ahead and pull this out. All right, underneath here is your transmission mount, 14 millimeter bolts right there. Or nuts, actually. Let's see here. And I'm going to need a swivel for that in a deep well. Hang on just a minute. All right, so 14 mil deep. And those are out of there. Now, we're going to put a transmission jack underneath it, but before we do that, let's do this. We already pulled the starter out of this vehicle right here. And the flywheel bolts are up through there, and there's 4 of them. You're going to put a long wrench right here on the front on your pulley with a 19 mil, so you can turn your crank around to get to all those and take them out. So I just wanted to show you that we did that already. Set 2 14mm bolts to your starter and just let it hang. Obviously disconnect your battery. We've already done that. And we're going after these 19s right here. But obviously, like I said, we're going to support the transmission with the OTC 2-stage transmission jack that is really dirty right now. So let's get this thing all set up. Okay, I want to tighten those up to hold them in place. I do not know what size those are. Looks like that's going to work. Down just a little bit. And just put a little bit of pressure on it to hold the transmission up. Now we're going to go after these 19s right here, which I just pulled that socket if I know where I threw it. There we go. Here we go. You can get mad at me for using impact power tools if you want to, but this is heavy bolt stuff, so I'm not going to use hand tools. There we go, get that bracket off. All right, now you've got transmission here, and we got to take all the flywheel bolts out up through there. So we got 14s and we got 17 mils. And of course transmission lines, but we're going to do those kind of last because it's going to get a little messy. But right in the bottom of the transmission, get another light up here, are these. I probably can't get to them with that. We'll use a short 14 swivel for that. See if this, well, we'll get it loose. Okay, so that's your 2 back ones. On this side over here is a plug crankshaft position sensor that's already out with a 10 mil that I've already taken out of there. I'm going to have this 14, this 17, 17, and just go there all the way around till we get all those out. Here we go. All right, there's there. See what kind of luck I get at reaching those top ones. Lower transmission just a little bit. And very, 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 very top up there. Are some more 17s. There's 2 on the very, very top. Now we got to come over to the other side and see if I can reach those. Let's get a light on things a little bit. This is not really a very good visual because you can't really see these. I can't even see what I'm doing right now, in fact. Longer extension. And we're way, way back. This is too long. So we'll pause. I'll grab another tool. All right, so I'm on that other top one on the bell housing. And I take it out and just kind of leave it there. If it'll stay, and my socket fell off. Rolling across the floor. All right, so that's a 17 up there. On this back side over here, we got another 17 with the transmission bracket going through it right here. It's there, I promise you. If I can get on there. Okay, I'm on it. No strain, no pain. All right, so we got that 17 out of there up top where the transmission shift tube goes through. We have another 14 on the back of that. Let's see, where's that light? All right. Let's see if I do. Actually, the other one's on the other side. So, up above the starter, right there, is a 17. And we don't want to tighten it, obviously. And we get a regular ratchet to break it loose. And now we'll go back to our little Milwaukee 3/8. And we'll take that 17 out. I believe that has all of our bell housing bolts. Let me grab my flashlight here, or my light. Here we go. I think it just went dead. Yep, battery's low. So I'm just looking over it. Go ahead and pull that 17 out there. I'll get our other ones. Let's get this shift cable out right here. You got a little clip right there. And then actually on the very, very top right here, whoops, on the very top back side of this is a little U-clip that you'll take out with a screwdriver. Then after you get it out, slide it off, pull it straight back, and pause video for a minute. Brackets on the transmission lines, 10 mils right there, and there you're going to need to get those out. On the side of the transmission, let me see, there'll be another 10, but let's go after this shift tube bolt if we can. Right up here is a 10 millimeter going straight up, and we're going to want to get that out of there. And that one's out. All right. On the other side of the transmission is a 10. Let's get our light over here. And it's just holding this bracket on right here. Again, for the transmission lines. Kind of weird. At 57 years old, I used to never shake, and now I do. Short 10 millimeter, quarter inch after is probably the best thing to use. Just had to go back to my box to get that. It's a little bit tight in that section. Wow. And I don't want to bind that up in there. So we'll switch back to this. And this is on the driver's side. Just when you think it's loose, it's not. All right, I see that other 17 on top of the transmission. I'm going to have to take it out. And we've got our lines right here, 17 banjo nuts. So get ready for the transmission fluid leak. And I'm not sure on banjo nuts, whoops, how to stop that, but I might be able to put a plug in the trans if I can find one to at least try to eliminate some of this transmission fluid from dripping all over my head, walking in the floor. We'll see how badly it leaks. There's a copper washer on each side. I just heard one of them hit the floor. All right, that one's out and it's not dripping all over the place. Let's do the other side. Right here, passenger side, 17. Whoop. There, now we're getting drippy. Hang on just a second. Let's get something to catch this oil. By the time I get it down there, it'll probably stop. All right. Another copper washer sitting there, right there. Let's catch it. Put it back on there. I believe now that we've got all that out of the way, with a little bit of persuasion of bending our lines and that kind of thing. But I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to see if I get a little plug this. All right, so we're ready to just separate the transmission now. I did find a little rubber plug to stick in the hole there to stop fluid on this side. It didn't have to do it on the other side because it wasn't leaking. And we need to wiggle it, separating it from the flywheel and easing it back a little bit. I'm on cardboard, so it does make it a little harder to move. The lines are in the way, right? So not going to bend them too much, but you do want to get them out of the way. And then you want to kind of lightly bring it down a little bit at a time. And I don't have a tie across the top right now. I should have something strapping the transmission to the jack. So yell at me, because I know you will. Okay, and I'm just easing it back. I'm bumping the release with my foot, and I'm sliding it back. I have a lot of wires plugged into this thing. Once you get past that, I'm gonna let it hang there for just a second because I hear my tie strap just showed up. Pause the video. All right, so we got to lower this thing out of here. Just say you don't get into a hurry whatsoever. Okay. And there's a hose right up the top that you need to disconnect. Now that I got this thing safe and so it don't fall on my head and come loose. And back here, obviously, you got a bunch of wires and a 10mm right there we're going to take out because I'm not pulling the transmission all the way, completely away from the vehicle. Get that one out and your wires will hang down. And then we'll lower down some more. And you can see the other 10s in the top of the transmission there. These right here, I mean, sort of the 17s. And our other bolt so we don't lose it. Now what we're after is right here, this sensor. If you have the mysterious transmission leak and it weeps through the harness and comes through, that thing comes all the way back here, up here, and plugs in underneath this little tin right here. And if you got transmission fluid leaking, it seems like it's running out of your frame, it's that sensor right there, like an output speed sensor that you're going to have to replace. So I'm going to stop video. All right, as a side note on the Nissan, I'm going to replace the rear main engine oil seal. There's our part number, BS 40631 while we're here. This has 10mm bolts, 3 of them. Take them out. You got to get this thing off. I've seen screwdriver pry behind it, pry it off. I decided to try something different. I got a, let me find it here, hang on. Oh, find out what I did with it. Hold on. All right, just had to find something. So, like I said, screwdrivers, all kinds of stuff. People can poke behind there, do this, that, and the other. I don't know how it's going to go back in because it can be tough on this lip seal. I found a rivet bigger than this, cut it off, stuck it down in the hole. Took a 5/16 corset bolt, I believe it is. Screwed it down in there like that. Whoa, hit my, and that way it wouldn't ruin the threads. And pulled it to that far. And then, I didn't mean to keep hitting the camera. Did the same thing on the other side. I haven't done this side yet. Let's see what happens. And it threaded up in there. You see this side started moving already. A little crooked. I keep hitting it, my arm. And we moved a little bit on that side. I just want to get it a little truer. And you can see my rivet down inside there. We're using that to press against. And you don't care if you run this one because you're not going to save it anyway. And she moved, you heard it pop a little bit. Now I'm going to go back to the other side. Right here. Now I can try with a little screwdriver and see how I'm doing because I've got it most of the way out. I'm pretty good. It's just getting underneath this backside edge and prying this out. And anyway, let me try a little something a little different. I get a scraper underneath there. Yeah, let's run this side in a little further again if I remember where I just put my little tools here and my ratchet and stuff. Just keep working on it till we get it. And I believe it was leaking right here mostly. So much the rear main, but I keep hitting the camera. It's got those two dowels in the bottom. She's moving pretty good. I'm just being very careful. There you go. So that worked. Wiggle it off of our dowel pins and we're out. Rear main seal. Got to put our new one in. Okay, so I got the rear main in there. Sensors in the top of the transmission. Like it just slides down in there and tightens. I will not recommend doing it that way. Yeah, I got it out. Yeah, putting it back in was extremely difficult. And this is my own vehicle. And if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't even risk it. I'd be pulling the oil pan off to do it. Anyway, we're going to move on to putting this thing back in. So we had torqued these to 68 with Loctite. Put a bolt right here, pry bar here to hold it from spinning, and torqued in the flywheel. Now, obviously, we got to put the transmission back in, and we got to torque these all the way around from the torque converter to that, which will also be 68 foot-pounds. So don't have a cameraman right now for the second half. I'm gonna do my best to show you how it's done. Thanks for watching. Continue on. Okay, so I got the transmission jack up here, and obviously we've got to get it all lined back up and get it in here. And I just got to kind of at an angle here with my light sitting back here, which I'm going to have to move. And I got to move the camera back a little bit. Okay, we're all tie strapped in here. Move the transmission over to get by the brackets back here. And we'll stop there because we know we got a vacuum hose that's going to have to be connected. Let's find that just to make sure we got enough room to do this. Okay, so that's the vent hose. It's not a vacuum hose. And we're there. A little more forward. Yep, there went my light. Probably gonna run out of juice before we get through with this. Let me switch lights. Hang on just a second. All right, spying across the top of the transmission, kind of looking where it's at. I'm gonna tweak it till we kind of get it leveled out. So you may be looking at the back of my head just a little bit while I get up in there. I believe that's pretty good. Okay, let's see here. We got a lot of tilting to do here. So now I'm just looking at the bottom holes. We are pretty close. And we're there. So we need to start a couple of our 14 mils in the bottom. Let me see if you can even see this. Yeah, right here in the bottom. You can't see the bolts for the flywheel in the way. I mean the jack in the way. Let's see here. A little higher. Yeah. Did I grab the right bolt? I do. That's part of my situation is I got the light so you can see and not where I can see. Stealing this light for a minute. All right, now I can see things a little bit. Well, you can still see. See, he's got to twist a whole lot further than I thought there. Biggest thing is we're not going to get in a hurry. There we go. Let's see how far off we are now. So I'm just looking at the bottom 14 mil again. And I was a whole lot further off than I thought. All right. All right, that one's started. I'm just going to run it in just a little bit. We don't want to tighten up anything until she's all the way in. Well, all right, let's start the other 14 mil on the bottom on the other side. It says she's got to go the other way. Keep my hat on. That's the most important part of the job. Okay, I've got that one started a little bit. I'm just going to run it in just a few threads. And then we're going to go around the rest of them, our 17, so on and so forth. Let's see here. That 17's in. We got one on the front side up above the starter. All right, I don't quite have this one started yet. Hang on just a second. But I will. It's one of those days. Okay, so those other 17s, a couple of them are started. We got to do the ones on the very, very, very top of the transmission. And let's get a light around here on that and see if we can see them at all. Yes. Now when I just reach up there and got to it, and now we'll go across the top. Balancing in a 17 millimeter impact swivel 3H drive. And right now, completely guessing where it's at. Okay. Lights, camera, action. Okay, it's in there. I have to pause to answer that telephone. All right, we are back. My light's up front. I have the top ones started in between that little commercial break. And I don't torque the bell housing to fly or bell housing bolts myself, but we will get them tight on the top now. So we'll start tightening everything up. Got it on there. That's in. What I want to do is go over here to my dipstick because I need to put that in. Let's see if we can get any shots of this whatsoever. Not sure with all this stuff in the way. All right, what can we see? All right, so we got our dipstick tube right here. I am trying to find you. Okay, let's try it like this. A dipstick tube right there. And there's a bracket that goes through the transmission up top. All that we have to line up. And you'd think it'd just fall in there, but it's not. Now it fell in there. And we want to put our 17 up top through that bracket. That again, I can't see it, so I know you can't see it. I can ever get a light that could get any kind of an angle on it. All right, there we are. And it's in. I'm going to run it in a little bit. That'll impact there to get most of the way. Battery impact, that is. And the rest of the way by hand. Final tightening. And that one is tight. Now we can run in the 14s on the bottom of the transmission right here. Going around the rest of our 17s. And I think there's one more 14 on the driver's side. So we're over here. Very top of the trans again. I kind of see a shadow of this 17 up there. I can actually get my hand up there. It's barely. All right. So the top two are tight. The side 17's tight. The one above the starter's tight. The 17 in the bracket is tight. We've got another 14 on this other side. So we'll get this other 14 in there. Whoop, I got my 17 swivel still on my tool here. Whoop. I don't know what visual we got right now. Okay. All right, so we are all the way around and in there. All right, let's get back to more fun. The transmission lines are going in now on each side of the transmission with the banjo nuts, starting with the driver's side. And trying not to knock the camera, but it's a little difficult. Let's see here. Yeah, twist it a little bit, and everything's went flying again. So I've got my washer, one of my washers. I have got the nut, and we'll stop the fine parts. Okay, back at it. Well, that's what happens when you bend the lines. A lot of times I don't bend the heck out of the lines because it's so hard to line everything back up. All right, we'll pause to get this thing together. All right, I'm sorry. I didn't have you in my pain and suffering there. Anyway, the banjo bolt for the trans line on the driver's side's in, and didn't want to show you all the fighting, trying to get it, make it happen. And then the one on the other side is in right there. The brackets up front, two of them, 10 millimeters, are in. Lines are out. We got this crankshaft. Whoa, great, you know. Crankshaft sensor to go in. I'm kicking everything around today. And a special 10 millimeter bolt for that crankshaft position sensor. It's got a little shoulder on it right there. And that's, like I say, that's a 10 mil. So let's go ahead and do that. And we're plugged in. Now that we got all that in, we have to do I can get her light again so that all of us can see a little bit. Right here in the shifter cable on the side of the trans. Probably upside down and everything else. But anyway, the shift cable push back and down and in there, knocking the camera around. It's so hard when you don't have somebody doing the camera and you're trying to show stuff like this and do it. It's frustrating a little bit. So let's see. Okay. Right there. Once the shift cable's in there, without knocking our camera around anymore, reaching over the top toward the back, let's get our lock pin that holds the cable in, and there went the light again. Pair of pliers and squeeze that down inside of there. Yeah. And she's squeezed in. Now we got the little hairpin clip. As soon as I find that in my box, right there. That one has to go up inside there. You're getting bored by now, so am I, a little bit. Ah. Between lights not staying on, and just like I say, it's been one of them stinking days. I can't keep a light charged up today. It's in there, trust me. Right there. And I'm going to jack it up from the back, put the bracket and all those things in it. Okay, so let's get back at it. So the cross member bracket that holds the transmission in. Let's back up. Going across there. Making sure our transmission is lined up, of course. Let's get all these started. And it's in there. 19mm bolts. And knock the camera around. That didn't sound good. All right, screwed that one up. Anyway, gotta fix that. Take a minute here. Should have known better. Anyway, I want to get this jack out of my way. All right, going back to the one that I screwed up over here. I'm going to thread trace it and fix that. Nobody use impacts, please, when you do that. Okay, that was a 12 millimeter by 125 thread chase to put that back in there. Now we're working on the, let's see here. Motor mount bolts, 14 mil nuts on the back here. Hit myself in the head. Yeah. Okay. Gotta get the wires back up here with that 10 millimeter nut that goes right there. Apparently there was two. And that goes through the bracket right there. There was another one right there. All right, let's hang this thing in here. Yep, it's the day to drop everything. And bang your head on the dang tire. And find the other 14 millimeter nut that went flying. Well, actually 12. This little Milwaukee 3/8 drive ratchet is stronger than my impact 3/8 impact guns. There you have it. I'm going to take the car up a little bit. Pause for camera adjustment. Okay, for the rest of the video, we're using the flywheel to torque converter nuts, Loctiting, 65-pound torque on those, and we're turning the crank with a long bar and a 19 up front. Cannot see it, impossible to get a visual of it, so I'm going to do it, and then we'll kick back in and driver shaft, possibly installation. Okay, let's do a little quick walkthrough. The starter's in there with the 14s. One goes right up top, right here, and one right in the back of the transmission right here. A wiring tie coming around, crankshaft position sensor right there, plugged in, everything's in, shift tube, or excuse me, tube for the transmission dipstick 10 millimeters in. We're going to put the drive shaft in, but we're waiting for that part to show up, and that's pretty cut and dry on that. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.